if Qigong is so great, why isn't everyone doing this? And why haven't I heard of it before? So I think there's a handful of reasons why Qigong has not caught on and people haven't benefited from it yet. I want to go through these because this leads us into a checklist that you should use to make sure that the Qigong you're doing is of high caliber. Most often Qigong is just seen part of other studies. So you tack on a few movements in a Tai Chi class, or you'll do some before the good stuff, right? Or maybe at the end of a yoga session, you'll do some sort of movements like these to send you out the door in a good mood. Rarely are there groups that focus on Qigong. Meditation centers are doing more of this, which is awesome. But Qigong unto itself needs to be learned. When you're learning a set, it can take, 20 minutes a day for a month to get it down. And then when you get it down, it's a few minutes and the benefits are there. But in the same way that if you were learning an instrument or learning to sing a song, you would put a little more time in during a month or at least, right, before you could actually sing the 3-minute song. Well, I think Qigong is kind of like that. By and large, Qigong should have 3 parts. A portion of the set that is cleaning you out, and this doesn't have to be something, again, mystical. We're talking about fully exchanging all the air you have in you while you're sleeping for new, fresh air. It's wringing your arms and your legs out to kind of squish all the blood that was in those muscles back into the arterial system and replenish the blood with oxygenated blood. So something cleaning, something building. So not after the energy, if you will, is cleaned, how to build more energy, because your goal over time is to increase your vital energy and the amount of energy you have to do whatever it is you want. And then storing. So as soon as I say this, there's going to be an argument that, well, I know of this set and it's amazing and only has 1 or 2. Absolutely, I'm sure that exists. But I bet that the stated purpose is just for that thing. And if you're new to Qigong and or want the benefits from it, you kind of want this full cycle. It's not taught incrementally. So Qigong is specifically and purposely simple, a small number of movements that might be repeated. And it's easy to learn in one setup. But the thing is that the purpose Qigong energy set is to dramatically increase your energy over time. And good Qigong is taught in portions where you learn a few moves and you practice them for several days. You tack on the second quarter of the set, you build that up, you tack on the third quarter and the fourth quarter, which gives you time to really pay attention and develop the foundational part to get the full benefit of the set. Oftentimes, in martial arts specifically, and as well as yoga, things are taught in a workshop format. And yeah, you want to get your money's worth and be there for 72 hours, but learning a full set for that weekend without having any mistakes is pretty darn near impossible. There's a couple groups, one I'm going to share at the end, that are doing really well at this. So if they do teach a set in a small amount of time, they've put time and money into really good resources for us. So these are books, these are ebooks, and these are videos where you can go back and watch and learn and incrementally improve how you're doing. Poor transmission of instruction. The instruction that we get is only as good as the person who's teaching it and the group that we're learning from. So in a rushed format or in a busy format, we may not get all the intricacies of the movements, like what I talked about as far as breathing at the right part, the spiraling of the limbs. And the sets are purposefully bland and simple so that we can focus on the detail. And what I normally see of this is that someone learned a set from someone and they probably developed their internal strength really well. And over time, they haven't had repeat instruction because it's not common for people to have Eastern instructors unless they're coming back and revisiting, or we're going over to Asia to continue to study. And portions of the Qigong are left out, or the detail on it just isn't there for us to develop well. And our Qigong is only as good as the person we're learning from. So basically, it's important for us, me included, as a Tai Chi and Qigong teacher, that I use phrases like, this is what I sense, or this is what I believe is going on at this level of my development. And I talk to someone from the medical academy and they say this is how they use this at a higher level. So even for the people who are teaching this, and it's great, we want a lot of people out there so that this valuable resource spreads, we're limited by the instruction that's coming. So a good set has a way for us to access someone to ask questions as we're developing. Another detriment to Qigong, it's just kind of inherent in it, is that it's a solitary action often. And we don't necessarily have groups to work with like we do with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Karate and Tai Chi and Yoga, where we can bounce these ideas off other people and be like, hey, I'm doing it this way. What do you think? What do you remember from that class? So having instructions where we can see examples is a way around this. And we know that group learning always increases retention. So given the opportunity to learn with people we know is better. But I think Qigong, just inherent in the nature of it, hasn't reached its zenith because of this lack of sharing and sociability. And lastly, there's stick-drawn PDFs on the Internet of Movement, and there's some videos that are partial. There are increasingly better instruction and workshops coming along, but the best sets where people develop over time have some sort of resources where you can go back and refer to books or PDFs or videos. One group out of Florida is doing this really well, where they're doing workshops. They travel around, they return, they're doing online workshops. They have books, they have videos, and it allows you to progress over time. Equally with the sets that I do, the instructors took great care and effort to make videos so that when I have questions and I can check back in, that I could go back and pick up things that I missed. So Qigong suffers from all these different things, and ultimately what comes out of it is that people have no or low results. And are you going to keep doing something just because someone told you and on blind faith if you don't think you're benefiting from it or don't feel anything from it? And I think that's correct. And I agree with this, that if you're not getting something out of it, like, you should quit, right? You don't want to continue on blind faith without any validity behind it. So in order for Qigong to progress as an art in the West, I think that we need to really have a way to qualify whether a set is good, so that if we do Qigong, we're not passing judgment on the entire art based on our interaction with one person on YouTube and called it Qigong, right? Or it martial arts. There's many, many different Qigongs, and our ability to find that is important if we want the benefits. So here's a checklist for you with the set that you currently do, or if you're looking for good Qigong instruction. All of your progress is dependent on this, that you should learn and add moves incrementally over time. There should be some sort of cleansing, building, and storing portions, and the instructor should talk about these, but in essence, there's ways in which you're wringing out the body. There's ways in which you're doing movements where your hands are moving from the ground up to the top of the head. And then there's movements where your hands are moving out and then back towards the body, okay? You would hopefully have instructors with a high level of internal development, or the person that you're learning from has enough grace to say, this is the level that I'm working at, and these are the resources or the instructor that I'm using. Join me in this pursuit to increase this energy. If you do have instruction with Qigong not functioning in groups, even if it does, the best sets have resources that are available. And the best form, nowadays, there's really no reason why a video shouldn't exist about the set that you're doing. Qigong should not be long or complicated. They're sitting sets with a single movement that are highly, highly powerful. The sets that I do take 6 to 8 minutes. I think one is a 10 moves, and the other one's like 12 moves, 13-ish moves. And that is plenty. And you may repeat those moves, but overall, your focus is on the energy development and not on adding another form to your life. Proper Qigong forms should have some sort of ringing out. They should have thumping and bouncing and be a little bit physical, where you're clapping on yourself or tapping on yourself to innervate acupuncture, acupressure points, to aid the lymphatic system, crunching down on your stomach and abdomen area to massage the organs, if you will, and make sure that they're out processing waste. So all of those aspects should be taken into consideration for a good Qigong set. So I've been doing Qigong every day for a long time, and sometimes twice a day. And I want to tell you about two gentlemen, Peter Ragnar and Tristan Truscott. So if you don't know these guys, independently, they have their own thing going on. Peter Ragnar, he has a website, The Longevity Sage. I think he published his 30 some odd book. And I'm pretty sure that the first one was published in 52. So that should give you some idea of how old he is. And in an interview, he's real punchy about it, really nice guy. And he's like, you mean how young I am? And he doesn't really associate with his own age, but he's got incredible power for whatever age he is. Tristan Truscott, he comes out of a hard martial style, the karate style in California back in the day with Chuck Norris, and practicing and growing up there. He currently lives in Austin, Texas, and runs a group with his wife called the Satori Method. And they're putting out really high quality resources for people learning and teaching Qigong and different sets. So these guys came together to put together two sets, a morning routine and an evening routine. And they're 6 to 8 minutes each. I've done both of them, so I routinely do the morning routine, but I can tell you that I've used the evening routine often in times of heavy stress. I did that one every day rather than the morning one for a while when I was getting past a back injury, and that was very helpful. Allowed me to sleep just incredibly well. So the amount of time you need these sets isn't that great. They're taught incrementally, so each set is taught in a month, where basically you work on a quarter of it for a week and then add the next quarter and then add the next quarter. You can find out more about these and writings that I did about this on taichibasics.com/learn Qigong. Full disclosure, we receive royalties from the sales of this, so indirectly purchasing of this gets back to the Chen Tai Chi Association. It's half the price you would pay for a workshop, and it's 2 full complete sets. And if you're looking for a start off point, I can't really recommend this enough. It's a great, great set and a way to get going. So take that into consideration, and no matter what your decision is, add Qigong to your life and pursue it, because the benefits are real. They are obtainable. It has the history and it has the science behind it. I think this is real accessible and real achievable to anyone in the West.